Good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And we are blessed, privileged, honored, all of those great adjectives, to have our old friends and part of our spiritual family, Ira and Julia, with us today. And they're going to kick us off with some music.
Sometimes I am afraid of change. I want things just to stay the same. I think that we're moving too fast when we say forgive the past. But there's so much to learn from each other. We can only make it together. We'll give you a smile.
Give you a smile.
A smile is forgiving. Now is the time for living. A world of peace, war will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me open up my eyes. A world of peace, war will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me wipe the tears from your eyes. Sometimes I think that there's a way, only one way to play the game. Holding on to the dark of night, trying to hold back the incoming light. Ah, there's so much to learn from each other. We can only make it together. We'll give you a smile.
We'll give you a smile.
A smile is forgiving. Now is the time for living. A world of peace, war will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me open up my eyes. World of peace, war will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me wipe the tears from your eyes. We can only make it together. We can only make it a world of peace. War will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me open up my eyes. World of peace, war will cease. I can see you are me in disguise. Let me wipe the tears from your eyes. Let me wipe the tears from your eyes. Sometimes I am afraid of change. I want things just to stay the same. But what if peace could come at last? If we chose to forgive the past.
Wow, that is beautiful. Thank you for that. And so in line with what we're talking about today. So in line. Oh,
Excellent.
oh, and now I would like to invite our practitioner of the day, Lissa Lazaro. Uh-oh, we can't hear you. can hear a fuzzy noise. Hmm. Not on your phone, right? Here's what I think I'm going to do, Lisa. Do you have your phone with you? Lisa, can you hear me? Let me call her. I think I can get a workaround. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to send her the link and see if I can get her to get on her phone so we can see her and hear her. That's not gonna work. Let me let me call her. Call Lisa Lazaro. So, can you hear me? Well, listen, we might be able to. We can't hear you. So, no, we can't hear you at all. So, well, I mean, I can hear you on the phone. Yeah, yeah, we can hear you on the phone, Lisa. We can't hear you on Zoom. So what we can do, we can try one of two things. Can anybody else hear her if I hold the phone up? Not really, huh? I know. Okay. Okay.
There's
So
a
what I
pause,
can
and I'm wondering
do,
if
Lisa,
we can.
is I can send you the link on your phone, and that way we'll be able to hear you on the Zoom on the phone and still see you. Want to try that? I'm going to send you the link to, let's see if I can do that. Hang on a minute. I'll have to find the link on my emails.
Is anyone
Michelle,
else hearing?
do
Oh,
you think the fuzz is coming from Lisa or
or
the?
Dr. Abigail is Reverend Abigail
I
is.
think it's Lisa.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Hear the
So
fuzz? Just
maybe if Lisa mutes and she talks to you directly through the phone, we can hear it
okay.
through yours.
All right. Let me try and mute her. There we go. Can you hear her? If I turn this all the way up, Lisa. Oh well, I muted her though. Oh no, well, it doesn't matter if I muted her. Can you hear her now? I can hear you. Can you guys hear her? Yeah. Everybody can hear you now. So go ahead and say whatever it was you were gonna say. Okay. I'm trying to say a shortened version so you're not driven crazy by this issue I have. It's all right. Technology. Oh, well, yes. At any rate, okay, I'm going to start, and I want to tell you that I kind of went into a big rabbit hole with wholeness and all over the place, and was just I think that mostly I was linked to Michelle's talk last week about Moses and the whole issue of identity, and the fact that it took him a while before he connected that he was connected to spirit, and that the I am was who he was too. And so it's like that began. I then began to look at people expressing their identity. You know, it's kind of like that as being the starting place.
Michelle, you just muted, so we can't hear her anymore. So if you can unmute your Zoom, then we can hear Lisa again.
That was so silly. There was a reverb, and I thought, oh, I'll just mute. Anyway, go ahead.
Everyone's muted but you, Michelle.
Okay, thanks.
So my two examples. The first was a program on PBS called what is it? Love of Owls. At any rate, it is a segment about a band named David A. Johns.
Yeah, there's a reverb.
If I pull my phone away,
I think it's just because I'm unmuted and it's a reverb from me. So I'm going to ask you to give us one example and a prayer.
okay. Well, this example is Mr. Johnson, who has been studying owls for 43 years, which was prompted when he was 11 years old, out camping, and an owl landed on his tent and began talking for 20 minutes. And it's like that became his identity.
Yeah.
And and you think about the connection. And so anyway, the program is fascinating. And it's a conservation group. And so that was that. The other one was Anthony Hopkins, who has now become a composer as well as being an actor. And he started out wanting to be a poet. And he went to art school on a scholarship for acting because he thought he could slide over into music. And he was 17. And I don't know, but anyway, he talked about how his characters come from within him.
Uh-huh.
He kept saying, somehow I just know how these people feel and how they would respond. And I know that experience myself, not in the depth that he does. But I think that's it. It's like there's something that comes from within each of us that is that expression of our connection with the whole.
Yeah.
And that our problem is to get out of the way and allow it to express. So that's it.
Well said.
Okay. So a short prayer. I am so grateful that we have time to get together, even though I'm messing it up. And I'm just happy that everyone is here and putting up with this. And hopefully sometime in the near future, I will be back organized with my computer. And I know that Spirit will make this happen, and Spirit will continue to make this a wonderful service, and we will each gain something that makes us grateful and happy today.
Yes.
And so I release my word with grateful thankings into the law and say, so it is.
So it is.
And I apologize to everybody.
It's all right. You don't have to apologize. We made it work. I'm glad we were able to do that. All right. There we go. See, there's always a way. All right, my friends, Julia and Ira, you got some more music for us?
We do. And Lisa, that just made us be even more attentive.
Yeah.
That's all. It just made us really, really great listeners in the moment. So.
That was great. And I'm excited to check out Anthony Hopkins' compositions. That'll be very interesting.
And the other show as well. So this is a song, it's called Kulam Kedoshim, which means...
Everyone is holy. So this is another song along the lines of what you're talking about today, seeing the wholeness in each other, beyond our temporal choices, shall we say. Everyone is holy. Everyone needs love. We all need some help to to rise above. Everyone is holy, everyone needs love. We all need some help to rise above. When we love one another, it's holy. When we give love to each other, it's holy. Checking in, reaching out past the sword and shield, turning round, find a place where our hearts can heal and see that everyone is holy. Everyone needs love. We all need some help to rise above. When we love one another, it's holy. And when we give love to each other, it's holy.
You can try that with us.
When we love one another, it's holy. When we give love to each other, it's holy. We were strangers in the land, and now we're called on to understand. We were strangers in the land, now we're called on to understand. We were strangers, now we're called on. When we love one another, it's holy. When we give love to each other, it's holy. When we love one another, it's holy. When we give love to each other, it's holy. When we love one another, it's holy. When we give love to each other, it's holy.
Wow, that was beautiful. I love that connection between, and you kind of highlighted it for us in this song, about something being holy and also being whole. You know, how those two words really have the same meaning.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
we're looking forward to hearing more about it.
Well,
As a matter of fact,
you know, we've been kind of exploring it all month. So hopefully the direction that I'm taking it today is interesting. So I'm going to say good morning again, because I always like to say good morning again before I actually give the message. So good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. You know, and I was feeling really grateful for technology, even though Lisa's little blurb, I'm thinking, oh, but with technology, there's always a workaround. There's always a way. There is an infinite number of ways that we can actually connect. And you know, it allows us to come together on Sunday and celebrate and explore this thing called life. And if I know anything I know that life loves us. Life loves its creation and will find a way to help us create and express our deepest desires. So that always makes me feel good. So whether or not you're listening to us in real time, right here in the room with us, or you're listening to the replay, welcome, 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 welcome. And you know, as I said, as I mentioned, we have been talking about wholeness all month, pretty much. Yeah, the last what 3 weeks we've been talking about wholeness, and mostly I've kind of approached it from a principled position, and today I'd kind of like to add a different twist. So, we know that spiritual wholeness is different than, you know, putting something together to make it whole. So let's see. It isn't always easy to, I'm stumbling over my words and I'm thinking wholeness is not always an easy idea to wrap our head around or to even really talk about. You know, I mean, how can each of us be whole, complete, and perfect, as Ernest Holmes told us? And at the same time, we can belong to an infinitely larger whole. How does that even work? You know, kind of boggles the mind. But one image, this came to mind as I was trying to explain wholeness and stumbling over my words. One image that has kind of helped me greatly over the years is the image of a hologram. Most of us have at least one hologram in our wallets right now. You know, those little shimmery metallic images on our credit cards and our debit cards and our driver's licenses. It's, you know, we'll see it as a little dove or a globe or a security seal, and they almost look three-dimensional. I'm sure you've seen them. I'm sure you have them in your wallet. But what's truly fascinating about a hologram is that if you break a hologram into smaller pieces, each fragment still contains the entire image. The image may be a slightly less sharp, but every piece holds the full pattern of the entire image, of the whole image. You know, and this is a beautiful metaphor for our oneness with the wholeness of God. You know, sometimes it's easier for us to think of ourselves as a little piece of God, like a little slice of the divine pie. But metaphysics invites us into a much larger view. You know, New Thought pioneer Emily Caddy, I ran across this quote and I thought, oh, I got to share that. Let me see if I can find it. Emily Caddy had a beautiful way of putting it. I'm looking in my notes. I should have had this ready. That's okay. She said, and I love this, she wrote oh, that's the wrong quote. She wrote in her little book, what was it called? Lessons in Truth. She wrote this: one drop of water taken from the ocean is just as perfect as the great body of ocean water itself. Each is complete in itself. Each individual manifestation of God contains the whole. You know, every little part, every little wave, every little drop of the ocean contains the whole of the ocean. Just like every little piece of a hologram contains the entire image of the entire picture that it is part of. So yes, the whole of life is fully present at every point of its creation. And yes, each of us is a unique individual expression of that whole. However, as expressions of the greater whole, we have to participate with it. We have to be willing to think and feel and act in alignment with its nature, to allow its wholeness to express through our human experience. And from that realization, we understand that wholeness is not a destination that we'll get to someday. Well, we'll get there eventually. It's our starting point. We are whole right here, right now, today. And this is where we start. So, you know, wholeness is a state of being. It is not something that we have to acquire. And it's something that we align with. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is within us. This is our wholeness because it's God's wholeness. And we're not separate from our Creator. We're empowered to bring the wholeness of the kingdom of heaven into our human experience, into our daily lives. And I think that's what Holmes meant when he told us that we need to prove principle. We need to demonstrate the principle of wholeness in our lives by participating with creative law. Because we know, and we talk about this all the time, law doesn't respond to what we hope will be true or we hope is true about us. It responds to what we consistently believe, to what we consistently embody and accept as true. And when we start from the awareness that we're already whole, already one with the life of God, then our thoughts and our choices and our relationships and our actions rise from this wholeness. And little by little, the outer world, our outer lives begin to reflect our inner identity. You know, Holmes told us that the creative process, when we use the creative process, we're not making something out of nothing. We're providing an avenue through which things can happen. So, you know, I might add that for wholeness to express, we allow its presence to move through us, to express through us. So let's move away from principle a little bit and ask the question, what does wholeness actually look like in our daily life? If wholeness is our starting point, where do we go from here? Well, since we know that anything that we experience in the physical world begins in consciousness, why don't we begin in consciousness? Because one of the things we might do to begin with is to let go of the idea, really it's more of a feeling, that somehow or another God is out there somewhere separate from us. But we can consciously nurture in consciousness the feeling of the divine presence within us. Because if you're anything like me, and you probably are, intellectually you might absolutely believe that you're one with God, but sometimes it just doesn't feel that way. In reality, we can't really get any closer to God than we already are. Oneness is pretty darn close, but we can feel that we're not one with this presence. And I've found that in my own life, a good starting point is to become consciously aware of the presence of God within me. And I can do that during my times of meditation and contemplation and prayer. And I can also look for the evidence of God's Spirit, the wholeness of life all around me, in nature, in the faces of the people that I encounter every day, you know, to consciously see and feel God everywhere. And then I feel it in my heart, and I nurture that connection of peace and love and oneness and unity. And I've discovered that I can consciously deepen my awareness of God in very ordinary moments by turning my attention to the qualities that I intellectually know are within me already, the God qualities, you know, so that when I feel rushed, I can pause and remember the presence of peace within me. Or once I find that I'm encountering someone that feels difficult, you know, I can choose to respond from a place of compassion, that quality of compassion that's already in me, instead of irritation. Or when I don't know what to do next, I can lean into divine wisdom instead of fear, knowing that that quality is already within me. When life feels uncertain, all of us can rest and trust. When someone is hurting, we can bring kindness, we can be kindness. And when we see injustice, we can courageously stand in the presence of love, in the presence of truth. Every one of these moments is an opportunity for us to consciously live our wholeness, not by trying to reach God, but by allowing more of God's nature to be expressed through us, because it's who we are. We're already whole. Wholeness is our starting point. And so I think that one of the greatest gifts that understanding wholeness has given to me is the realization that my humanity isn't something that I gotta overcome. It isn't something that I've got to get over. You know, I grew up thinking my human self was a problem and that I could somehow, you know, if I just became more spiritual or more perfect or more enlightened, that I would finally be worthy of God's presence. And, you know, even though as I've started to practice science of mind, I kind of intellectually let go of that idea. I think I carried more of that unspoken belief that I wanted to admit. But at least in the recognition that that still might be alive in me a little bit, I can now allow wholeness to tell me a different story. And now wholeness tells me that my humanity isn't an obstacle to my divinity. It's the very place where my divinity is expressed. And I don't have to choose between being deeply spiritual and deeply human because I am both. I can allow my divinity to express as my humanity. You know what I thought of the image of this Japanese art called kintsugi. You might be familiar with it. I've actually mentioned it before. I started to look for a picture of it and I couldn't find one, so I just let it go. But it's kintsugi is a Japanese art where if you have, say, like a treasured bowl or a teacup or something, you don't throw it away and try to hide the cracks. Instead, the broken pieces are carefully joined together with lacquer that's mixed with powdered gold. And the cracks aren't disguised, they become part of the beauty of the piece. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't want you to think that the metaphor is that, well, I was broken and then God put me back together. That is not what I'm talking about. I think that this beautiful art shows us visually that our essential nature can never be broken. And the human experiences we have, the cracks and the breaks, they enhance our beauty, the beauty of the vessel itself, if you will. You know, and what actually breaks is our expectations. What else breaks? Our attachments, our limiting beliefs that we placed on ourselves, the old stories that we love to tell. And I mean, sometimes in our humanness, we have heartache and we have grief and our bodies might get sick, but none of these experiences have ever had the power to damage the life of God, the wholeness of God that is expressing as us. So rather than highlighting our brokenness, I think kintsugi highlights our ever-present wholeness in the midst of what we might encounter in our humanness. Because again, wholeness is not our destination. We are not bringing ourselves into wholeness. It's our starting point. And our human journey gives us the opportunity to see that clearly. That's really the gift of our human journey. Not that life makes us whole, but that life gradually awakens us to the wholeness that's always been present. Yeah, the bowl may crack. You know, there might be a chip, but the experience itself is the rich gold that lets us know our wholeness at a deeper level, because our wholeness can never be damaged. There's no separation between us and God. And there's no separation between our divinity and our humanity. Our humanity is where our wholeness becomes visible. Nothing in our human experience has the authority to redefine our spiritual identity, our spiritual nature. Our lives don't create our wholeness, they reveal it when we allow it and when we feel it ourselves. And a place where I think wholeness speaks very boldly and very loudly is in how we think about and how we act toward each other, towards other people, towards all of life, really. Because it's one thing to believe that there's no separation between God and our human selves. And it's quite another to believe that there is no separation between me and you, between all of the people that we encounter every day. Our wholeness isn't just personal, it's relational. The life of God isn't simply expressing as my life, it's expressing as our lives, our wholeness. It shows up in a myriad of ways. It shows up in families learning to forgive, or friendships choosing understanding over being right. It shows up in spiritual communities when we make room for different perspectives. And ultimately, in our great big human family, it shows up when every person is seen and honored as a unique expression of the infinite life, no matter what they look like on the outside. Wholeness doesn't erase our differences. It reveals the deeper unity that holds all of the differences together. I came across this beautiful story and I just thought, oh, I got to read this. It's a story that was written by a woman named Sharon Fletcher. She's a professor of all things bioengineering. She teaches at Tel Aviv University. And it really it's a story about her high school days. And it really touched a place within me of wholeness. I thought, wow, that really does get to the heart of how we want to live our own personal lives, doesn't it? So I'm just going to read it because I think her words are beautiful. And if I try and paraphrase, it might not sound as great. So I'm going to read it to you. So she writes, "It was my first day at a new school. I felt nervous and scared. I went to all my classes with no friends. I felt like no one cared. I listened anxiously to all the lessons and I couldn't wait for lunch break. Finally, the bell rang. Then, in the lunch line, I met a new friend who wore a hijab. I think I'm saying that right, on her head. And even though I'm Jewish, we got along fine. And I was so relieved when she said, sit with us at our table. And she pointed to the one next to the door. So I agreed. And I took my tray and was about to walk with her across the floor when suddenly I felt a nudge. And a tall girl in a long skirt said, "Hey, I saw you on the bus. I noticed your Jewish star necklace. You should sit with us." And at that moment, I paused and I looked around, and that's when I noticed, to my surprise, the nations of the world isolating themselves. That's what I saw through my own eyes. The Spanish only sat with the Spanish. The Hindus only with the Hindus. The Russians always with the Russians, and never the Arabs and the Jews. I saw the reason why war gets started. Everyone sticks to their own kind. The lunchroom was a map of the world. Why was everybody so blind? And so I turned down my latest invitation and went with the first. And there was no hard feelings, but I knew I built a bridge between two worlds when I sat with those different from me. What a great story. I mean, that really does kind of say it all. I mean, isn't that kind of what we do? I mean, it's a very human thing to do. It's kind of almost tribal in its expression, I would say, just kind of tribal. So let's see, what's in my notes here. So what I think that what it means to live from wholeness with each other is not that we pretend that our differences don't exist, as the story illustrated, or to make everybody feel like they're the same. But what we're doing is we're refusing to let our differences convince us that we're separate. Wholeness doesn't eliminate diversity. It reveals the deeper unity from which the diversity arises. I mean, Holmes told us multiplicity from unity, right? And I truly believe that when we see life from awareness of our wholeness with each other, then it changes our relationships, just like the girl in the story found. It changed her whole way of seeing the world. Our communities change, and little by little, I think our world changes. Our wholeness within the larger life demonstrates that wholeness is not the absence of differences, it's the absence of separation. And there is a qualitative difference between diversity and separation. Our inherent wholeness doesn't deny our diversity or our individuality or our uniqueness at all. It actually reveals it. Our wholeness invites us to know each other in a deeper way, deeper than just, how do you do quick on the surface acknowledgement of each other. It invites us to kind of rise above any limited view of life we had. I was thinking about how this plays out in my daily life sometimes. And there are times when I'm driving somewhere on the freeway and I start to get really frustrated by the traffic, especially when it slows down. If you've ever driven around San Diego, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And, and I might even start to think that, I am a much better driver than these other drivers on the road, and my destination is much more important than theirs, which of course makes me feel even more separate from them and even more frustrated, because I'm such a perfect driver, right? But then all I have to do is just take a breath. And I'm just using this situation as an example. It could be anything. But if I stop and I take a breath and I relax and I get a little bit more calm and a little bit more mindful, a moment stuck in traffic can become an exercise in being present and recognizing my wholeness with everyone else. A moment to kind of connect with everybody else that's stuck in traffic too. And if I look at the people in the other cars, the people driving in the other cars with softer eyes, without the look of separation, without the frustration, then I really do begin to feel a real connection. And it makes the moment more real. Instead of my annoyance with the traffic, I start feeling like the world is actually okay and that it's actually a safe place and even a welcoming place, because it feels kind of like we're all in this together. And there's comfort in that somehow, knowing that we're all in this together. So maybe our practice this week isn't trying to become more whole, because, we are already whole. Our practice is to remember that we don't have to try and get closer to God, because we're already close to God, or to become more aware of the presence that's already within us, because we're already, that presence is always there, or to fix our flawed humanity in some way, because our humanity is the place where love and wisdom and peace and compassion and joy are visible, where they become visible. We don't have to erase our differences. We can celebrate them by refusing to let our differences feel like separation. Because every single person we meet is another place where the wholeness of God is expressing itself. Every conversation is another opportunity to build a bridge. Every challenge is another opportunity to remember who we are. Every moment is another invitation to ask, how can I express wholeness here? I began today with the image of the hologram, every tiny fragment containing the pattern of the whole. And I am going to do my best to remember that image this week. And I invite you to do the same every time I look in the mirror, or every time I sit with someone who thinks differently than I do. Every time I find myself facing an ordinary human moment that might be frustrating, I want to see my wholeness in that moment. I want to remember that the whole is always present, and that the whole is looking through our eyes, and the whole is loving through our hearts, and the whole is serving through our hands, and the whole is living as our lives. Wholeness isn't waiting for us at the end of our journey. It's been walking with us from the very beginning. So today we remember it and we trust it and we live it one moment and one choice and one loving interaction at a time. And there's a beautiful quote. I wasn't sure I was going to share it, but it's coming up for me. So I guess I am going to share it. It's by Thomas Aquinas. And he asks the question, how do we live in harmony with each other? And his answer is, first, we have to recognize that we are madly in love with the same God. And that's what we do today. We recognize that we are madly in love with the same God, and the same God is madly in love with us. So let's just take a breath there. Yeah. And so, Relaine, our wonderful member of our spiritual family, Relaine, and her husband, Jim, they were supposed to be here today. Relaine was supposed to do the benediction for us and the sacred giving. And they are on their way to Bend, Oregon from their home in Grants Pass. Well, it's just outside of Grants Pass, really. And Jim is going to have a medical procedure, or maybe it's consultation in Bend, Oregon. I know their son went up there to be with them, and he is helping them. So instead of her doing the sacred giving and the benediction, it will be me. So which is really fun. So I would like to let's just take a breath and rest in the knowing of our own wholeness. And as I invite you to give financially to our center, I just want to remind us all that we give from the wholeness of God, that we live in the abundance of the divine, that there is absolutely no lack in the universe, financial or in any other way. And lately, I was reminded that we call money and financial abundance currency. And just like the current of a river, it flows through our life. So I've been viewing my financial abundance as running through my life like the current of a river or the current of electricity, always flowing, always moving. As I give, I receive. And I just think that's a beautiful visual. I like that visual. So I think all of us pretty much know all of the ways in which we can give. I can put them, I'll throw them up. I didn't share I didn't share July's affirmation, and we do. So here are all the ways that you can give. You can give through Venmo, or you can send a check to me. Now that I have my locking mailbox, it's nice and secure in there. And always look for the picture of me if you're giving on Venmo. It's there. And then I have the sacred giving affirmation, which is right here. I give with a grateful heart, knowing the spirit is the source and the substance of all supply. It's the current. I joyfully participate in the circulation of abundance. My offering blesses the world and returns to me multiplied. I am grateful and I am prosperous, and so it is. So as far as announcements go, we have our Monday night prayer group, which we will have tomorrow night, and then we'll have our Tuesday night. We're doing a radical compassion. We're having a discussion of the book Radical Compassion by Tara Brach, and we're going to be looking at chapter 3, which she does that RAIN method, which is recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, which is it's one of those ways that you can use it when you're stuck in traffic. You can pull it up. It would work great. But the discussions that we have are, they're kind of expansive. What we start out talking about some of the principles or practices that she illustrates or describes in the book, but we end up talking about ways in which our own lives unfold and the things that we do in our own personal lives. So let's see. After that, we have one more Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, we'll be meeting at Ohm. Rob will be on his trip. We won't thinking about that. We won't see him at Ohm this time, but we'll see everybody else who is in the area. Marcia and Renetta and Gisela all show up, and Lissa and Betty, and that's fun. And then of course there's still a Zoom connection as well when we're down there, and that's always a fun Sunday for us. So, and I think, is it this week or the following week? I think it might be the following week that Relaine is doing it's the last Wednesday of the month. So it's not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, that she is doing her Joyous Expectancy of Being Me class or discussion group. And I believe she's going to be talking about intuition. That's what she told us. So we have that. And yeah, I think that's about it. I will do a benediction. I didn't really do a prayer right after the end of the service as I usually do, but I will take a breath now and we will pause. And again, I give great thanks for technology and all of its lovely little glitches and all of the gifts that it brings us. To be able to hear music from New York and have people come from Oregon and all over San Diego County, all in one place, and nobody even had to get into a car. Technology is awesome. So I am so grateful for that. And I'm just grateful for our connection. I'm grateful for this service. I'm grateful for Lissa being able to share with us even through the glitches. I'm grateful for each and every one who is here. I'm grateful for the Levins and the beautiful music that absolutely aligned perfectly with what we were talking about today and actually all month. So it's just with deep joy that I bless each and every one, which means that I confer good on you from the God in me. And I know that as you move through your week, it's going to be fabulous. All is well, all is well, all is well. And we just take a deep breath, relax in this knowing, and together we say, and so it is. And so we're gonna hear some more music from Ira and Julia.
Yay! Starting from a place of wholeness, here we are.
Written from a place of wholeness.
I can see clearly now the rain has gone. I can see all obstacles in my way, and gone are the dark clouds that have me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 a sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, a sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain has gone. All of those bad feelings have disappeared. 'Cause you are the rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, a sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 a sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies.
And today that's true over here.
Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. a bright, a sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, a sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, a sunshiny day.
Well, I am gonna stop our recording now.